as a member of the National Aboriginal Conference, some of the most satisfying experiences. And I think the one that really stands out is the obtaining the back pay for the Torres Strait Light Infantry. After the war, Major Hall came to the conclusion that there was still money owing to the Torres Strait Light Infantry because they had only been paid something like half the daily rate. It wasn't until 40 years after the war I had been elected as the NAC representative for the Cairns electorate. And over a period of time I sought to emphasise the need to address this issue, and everywhere and one I spoke to said, no, it's too late, we won't be paying any money. We were having, it was to be our second last state branch meeting, and it was to take place here in Cairns. And there was a newspaper article that said the Prime Minister, Mr Bob Hawke, was coming to Cairns at that precise time. So I asked our resource person, Alan Randall, to send an invitation to the Prime Minister and Cabinet to request that he visit. We were in the process of meeting in the back room here, and word came through that the Prime Minister was coming. So we conducted him in, and we presented to him 3 items that we wanted to be addressed. Major one was the back pay for the Torres Strait Light Infantry. And after we had presented our case and he had responded, he stood up to leave, and we as a group had planned it. We stood up with him and we all sang "God be with you till we meet again." And it had quite an impact on him. And then at our next state branch meeting, which happened to be our last meeting before they terminated the NAC, I was in Weipa, and word came through that we need to select 2 delegates to go to Canberra and negotiate with the government for the back pay for the Torres Strait Light Infantry. And you can imagine what a joy that was to us, that after 40 years being able to achieve something of that nature. And I think they received somewhere around $7 million of back pay. During the time of when I was in the NAC, there was also a movement amongst the Aboriginal Christian leadership. We had started an education program. When we looked at education, we determined that it had to be more than just knowledge to get a job and academic skills. We felt that we needed to develop a program for life. We travelled around. We went to Yirrkala in Arnhem Land, where Mundawa Yunapingu was the principal of the school there, Alice Springs, and one of the things that struck us very forcibly was the kids would be running around in the schoolyard, and there was an elderly lady just sitting there on the swing, and when the kids would get tired, they'd go and sit with her, and she'd talk to them and so on. And we thought, well, you know, there must be a role for elders in the education system of Shillong. That wisdom and that knowledge that they have, that was forged in the furnace of life. I believe that the Western concept of education didn't give the Aboriginal people the required result to compete within the overall society. And we believe that because of our uniqueness, we had to address education that was relevant to our lives and what was important to us and the values of Aboriginal people. I only reached 5th grade in primary school. That's as far as I went in the mainstream education. And I suppose according to that, I wasn't to achieve anything really in life, but God's no man's debtor. And he can take the most foolish thing to confound the wise. And I've only got to look at myself. I had nothing to offer, but somehow or other I've been used in so many ways. Not always, I suppose, the way that you would like to be seen and known, but that's par for the course when you are a minister and serving God. And you won't always be understood. You know, 9 times out of 10 you could be misunderstood for what you do. But I wouldn't swap it for anything.